Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Simply Scrappy. It's been a while since we did a Friday session, but that's how life goes. But today we're going to kick off by doing simple page kit number 10. So this was a Halloween theme, but as you know, we're going to put the layout together and then we're going to hack the design, which is actually pretty basic today, to create another layout. If you don't already have this kit, it was last chance. It is selling fast on Creative Memories, so you'll either want to grab it there or you can grab it on my website, tessascrapbooks.com. So how many of you take pictures for Halloween? I won't lie, I don't have pictures ready to put on here today for Halloween. I feel like Halloween for me has started to dwindle away in photo opportunities. Last year, Campbell's opening basketball game actually was on Halloween, so I'm not sure I have any Halloween photos. I would have to dig back into the archives, and I just did not get there for that today. So I'm going to be putting together the layout just as is. I know I have pictures, obviously, from the twins' growing up years that need to go in their books because there are only 2 in their books, so there's quite a few Halloweens. I'll just save this layout for those as well. So let's look. Thanks for joining me. Let me know where you're coming from. I love to see who does join me live in the chat. So this is Simple Page Kit number 10. If you're, as you know, you're probably familiar with the kits now at this point this year. We've been through 10 of them. They come with 2 base papers and then a paper that we're going to cut up for mats. The back side of the one that gets cut up for mats usually has several designs or different papers on there. And so when we go to choose papers to hack, we end up with more than just 3 papers. So our base papers, you can probably see too, I have a little bit of dented corners on my kit. Sometimes they come to me a little bit damaged in shipping, and I usually just work those into my layout. By the time they get in the album, we won't really notice. So the first step of the kit actually is just to cut apart the 3rd sheet that comes with it. It has lines on the back. Like I said, this one's pretty basic. So these strips are 3/4 inches, the 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're going to give us the stripes papers for our layout, which is a nice option. If you love Halloween and you take a lot of photos, and 2 pages isn't enough. The Booyah collection that launched is really cute and have some great prints in there you could adapt for this design. I'm a little off. It looks like I was measuring, not looking at the line. I need to get back on the line so my measurements line up. Cut this one. So I'm looking at the line, looking at the dotted line on the trimmer is really where I want to be cutting these apart. Now, at first I thought these were 4x6, but they are not. They are actually a little bit off center. One of them is a little shorter than the next. But when it comes to creating our own layout, you'll want to just make mats that work for whatever size photos that you have. And the other thing you have to do when we're cutting apart papers like this, even though I was cut down the line, I still have a little bit of that sprint on the back, so I want to clean that up. If it's easier, you can cut down the front so you know you're really cutting apart the pieces as shown. And then for the layout as shown, they have these at the top and bottom. The stripes pull together all of the colors. And it's going to cover up a little bit of my dented corner that we have there. As shown also on the handout that comes with it, this is where they have us putting our mats. So pretty basic layout. Down here would fit 2 horizontal photos. Of course, if you don't have horizontal photos and you have vertical, you can just kind of adapt these to fit wherever. So I'm going to adhere my skinny strips. I do like to pass out candy, but we live on a cul-de-sac and not a lot of my neighbors engage in the trick-or-treaters, so I think that they walk down the end of my street and they look down and it doesn't look worth it. I don't anticipate that changing anytime soon based on who lives by me, but I am hoping that my neighbor comes by. They have two little kids, so usually they'll stop by and at least have some to pass out. I mean, we will get a few, but nothing like, I know some people that live on the main street pass out quite a bit of candy. So I don't buy as much anymore either because I would just eat it, what's left over. So I usually just try to buy a small bag, and if I really ran out, which I have never ran out, we'll just turn the light off. Curious to see what the weather's like. We've had such a warm fall so far, but it seems like by Halloween here in Indiana, we're getting into quite a bit of chill. I mean, there's been years when we've even had snowflakes. It was that cold. Sometimes my brother, the fun thing about Halloween, sometimes my brother who lives out in the country, he'll bring his kids over to trick or treat my neighborhood. So that's usually fun. I need to see if he's going to do that this year after I check the basketball schedule to see if we have games. So if you wanted to go ahead and put this together, I was showing you could adhere your mats down as such. And then if they don't work for your photos as shown, I would just layer your photos around the mats. Treat the mats like extra paper. You have some room here with this one too. I mean, you could center it, you could use a different photo, you can kind of cluster it down into the corner a little bit. I'm going to come down into the corner a little bit, adhering mine. It gives you room up there to decorate, create a little sticker cluster. The nice thing about the base paper, it does have kind of a dotted grid to it, which can be helpful for lining up your papers, spacing similarly. Kind of comparing to the other side. I do like these colors. It's a fun color scheme. And the stickers do have these border stickers, the spiders. I was like, what are these? They're spiders. They have this adhered down the center line where these two papers come together. The spiders are upside down both ways, so there's no up or down to the sticker. It is a nice little skinny strip, so it won't take up too much spot on the layout. Move that down a little bit. The mats are cute because they have the dots. So we're going to talk about maybe we could use some dot tip pins when we hack this if you want to accent around your mats. And then the rest of the stickers, it's a very pretty Halloween that you can kind of put wherever. I'm going to adjust from where they have them. I don't have pictures on there yet. Up here. The little ghosts are cute. Ghosts down the side. So definitely lots of stickers, but once you have your photos down here, the stickers would overlap the corners. So that's probably, I could put one more up here. I could do Happy Haunting kind of across the top, but the rest of them I'll probably save until I actually have photos down to accent around. So it is a very cute kit if you don't already have one and you do celebrate Halloween. It's a pretty scheme. So now we're going to hack this again with a different collection. And so when we think about papers for our hack, let's look and see what we have. So we have the base paper. We're not seeing a whole lot of. Without the mats, you're going to see a wider section. We have this, which is kind of a tone on tone. If you're going to mat your photos on here, you don't want it too vibrant. And then we have kind of a statement print for the top and bottom. I understand that it's fall and we're talking about Halloween and Thanksgiving, but the reality is the pictures that I had sitting here on my desk, that are printed ready to scrap are Easter. So I'm going to make an Easter layout actually. And I'm going to make both sides, but actually I have a picture for one side. I'm going to have a one-sided, one-page layout for Cooper's book, and then I'll save the other side for either Campbell's book or my family book. The problem is I know I've scrapped some of these photos, and I was thinking it was for Campbell's book, but I can't find the layout to remember if it's my family book or her book. So I'll just save the other side for that. So I picked out Endless Meadows. I went through my collection. Endless Meadows was nice because it had a bunch to choose from. It had tone tones, it has prints, a lot of things, and I pulled out some scraps too. So at first I was looking through, what is kind of a statement print that would be similar. I like the stripes, so I found this one, this print. So this created my color scheme for the layout. And then when I was kind of looking for a tone on tone to put where the purple is, I like this print. It is a little bit busy-ish, and so I probably will map my photo still on here, but I like that. I don't feel like it competes with these two. And then I needed something like a base right here, and so I picked out this purple. I take that back. I thought I was going to make both sides of it, but I don't know if I actually have another base paper because I was using a partial pack. I'm not even sure where I put my folder. So we'll start with one side. I'll cut the strips. I'm gonna have to go back and find another base paper, I think, for that. And then I have some scraps here for the mats. I could weld them. You're right, if I really wanted to have purple on both sides. So to hack the skinny strips, like I said, those were 3/4 wide. I need 2 per side. I'll go ahead and cut 4. I could also use cardstock. I could pull out a sheet of cardstock. You don't see too much of it actually in this layout. And then the flip side of this actually could probably be the base. I could weld this side because this would be a nice base. So maybe we'll go forward with this. I don't know. You probably can't tell too much on the camera. It has kind of a crosshatch orange design. I don't know if I get closer to the camera if it's going to focus. I think it's just going to screw up the light. Too dark. Let's hopefully it adjusts my light back. I actually bought a new webcam. It just came this morning. I just didn't have time to risk setting it up. Hopefully I get some better light quality on here. You'll be able to find it out by next time. So for the purple section, which is going to be this pattern, is 4 1/4. As I look on the back side, if I was going to use the rest of this could also be part of my base. I would think about which way I want to cut it. The caveat I should say when hacking this design is I'm actually going to rotate it 90 degrees based on the photos I had. So I'm going to cut it as if the back side I would want like this. So I need 4 1/4 off here. Except I still need 4 1/4 for the other side actually. So scratch that. I'm not going to have that much left. This is a work in progress. We're thinking through it. So I have the pieces I would need for one side. And like I said, I'll put pieces together, we'll see where it goes, and then I'll determine the other side if I want to use this orange. So if I rotate it 90 degrees, I could piece it together as is. Actually, then rotate it. I'm going to have the stripes at the top and the bottom, my fat strip right here, and then I would rotate this. Because I have more vertical photos than horizontal. It's the hazards of using our phones all the time. So the pictures I have, I'll have to decide if I want to cut them down a little bit so I can mat them. I'm not going to see very much. I have these two, and then I do have one horizontal I can put here at the bottom. They were playing with my games. And then I have 2 pictures up here that I could do peekaboo. I didn't want to do 2 pages just for 1 extra photo. And there's no reason why they can't be layered. So that's my 90-degree hack for that side. And then for this side, let's see what I pieced together. I could do the orange. Maybe I'll just do that. I have plenty to weld. I don't really feel like welding a 3/4 inch piece, so I would adhere that on top. This one I have a nice overlap, about 1.25 inches. I don't quite need that much. I could probably cut off another 3/4 inch strip just to keep in my stash if I wanted another strip of this for something else. The challenge is going to be that, so when I weld it, this, I would have had to cut this wider to have the same dimensions, because these can't sit by side. I mean, I would have to weld. I could weld. I could weld these together. I could maybe with photo tape. That would be easier. We'll see what I have at my fingertips. So I'll show it that way just so that if you guys are doing it that way, you know how it can be done. I'll weld these 2 together and then I can weld these on top of there. Let me finish this side first. Here are my strips. There are some that would not have used purple base because it's a page for a boy book, but I think Easter allows for all of those rules to be broken. Easter is a pastel holiday, whether you're a boy or not. And there's nothing wrong with purple. Purple is my mom's favorite color. She wears it a lot, and I happen to wear it on this day also. Yeah, you can tell she has a dark purple on. It probably looks black in the picture. The picture of them's kind of, maybe I'd bury the one of me under there. Okay, now I need to clean up my photos, so I have my nice little trusty photo trimmer here. Let's put that to work. So I'm going to trim up these photos a little bit. I need to have a little bit of space between them horizontally. Just cutting off the extra space above his head. And I need to trim off a little bit of a width. So I have plenty of room here on this photo. I could trim just a little bit there. So this is where I have to rethink now using this trimmer, because once upon a time when I used the blue one, my old one you guys have seen me use, I would measure how much I would take off, so then I could just take off the same amount on the other one. Now I have to look over here. I mean, it's not a hard step, it's just a mental shift for me. So 1/8 up 1 inch. And then I can go to this one and cut the same. And that gives me a little breathing room on the base. So I decide, do I need to mat these on there? I don't think so, actually, because the base of that is so predominantly green and just a little bit of color. I think it's fine. I don't think I need extra matting on there. Saves weight, it saves paper. At the end of the day, I just don't think it matters. It still will be a very pretty layout. You can see the pictures. It helps too on the photos, especially down here, because of their shirts. There's kind of a definitive edge to the photo. It doesn't get lost so much down there. So these are a little bit more of a challenge. I would definitely want to trim these down, except then I'm going to not have room for my 4x6 peekaboo. So The option for that, there's two options. One, I can use a fuse tool and trim down a peekaboo pocket to fit, or I just go ahead and trim them and then mat them on 4x6 papers to slide into the peekaboo, which is the easier way to do it. This one down here, I would think I will clean up the edges a little bit. Take off a little bit of the background distraction. Because I cut that down that much, I probably will mat it, not because it's really a photo worth accenting, but because I feel like it needs a little bit more color to it. And then these I'll trim down, and then I'll pick out 4x6 mats to fit on there. What color do I want to use? They don't need to be the same size trim because you're not going to see them side by side. But I need to trim off enough off one of the edges or both of the edges so that whatever I mat it on stands out. Okay, so let's decide my matte colors. I had pulled out some scraps if they fit. I think these are gonna be too small. This one is kind of a light purple. On one side, it's gonna be pretty light. Or I could pull out some cardstock. Maybe like a green or parakeet shimmer actually would be pretty. Let's see what I have here. Dark green is going to be too dark. Here's some, I actually have some avocado, which would work. It's very similar green. It's really going to pop this out against there. Or maybe I'd want to use the solid, the avocado down here, just to add some weight to the bottom. I think that would work. I'm a lazy scrapper when it comes to mats. I don't really like to measure, so this is literally how I would pick a mat in this. I could measure it. I could just stick it in here and do close enough. It looks like about actually 4x6 is going to be an appropriate size. Do any of you cut mats like this where you just like throw it in your trimmer and see if you have enough margin? That's me. Then you just center the photo on it. I got that one down there. I do have space, so I don't have them open. I would have to go find a pack of the Endless Meadow border stickers. I think they're pretty fat. Like the Simple Page Kit, they had that little skinny strip of sticker, and I think it would be fun to have one down there. But I was thinking actually maybe one of those Jumbo Great Length stickers. I'd have to go dig those out of my stash, but you know the ones I'm talking about. They were skinny and they came in all the colors at Old CM. And maybe this would be a good spot for me to pull out maybe one of the gold ones or a neutral one just to kind of give that a little bit of an edge is what I think I'll do. And then I need to decide of a matte color up here. I feel like the light is going to not be enough contrast. I could just stick with the green for simplicity and then add in, just decoration around it. It's kind of basic. We did talk about too with the dotted pens. So they're not going to show up great on green, but if you wanted to cut bigger mats, if you weren't doing a peekaboo pocket or you had more room to trim in your peekaboo, you could make the dotted pattern as shown. I did pull out a few dotted pens. I didn't realize I was going to go into the green. The metallic, maybe we could see if it shows up on the green. Or I have silver. So we can test them out underneath here. And this is 4 inches. Yeah, it's a little longer than 6 though. Let me trim this down to 6 inches. And then we'll play with it in the middle. So if I hate it, I don't actually have to use it. So this is the silver. I'll do a long line so you can, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see how well it shows up. It's gonna probably dry a little darker, but it's actually not a bad option. It would be subtle. The metallic I think would work. The metallic are gonna work better than the darker colors because they have a little bit of shimmer to them. This one probably soaks in a little too much on the purple. It's just gonna look dark. This one is, I think, deep plum. And again, I think it's going to be too dark, but I think the metallic would work. So if this was something I wanted to do, you could just use your dot tip and go around the photo. So I do not have a ton of space. I'm going to have to keep my dots pretty small, or I could put my photo on there and see if I could just stay off the photo. And put my photo on there. Or I could use the fine tip pen. It's just not, I'm not gonna be able to get the dot effect. If you don't have a steady hand, I think it helps to just like have a little bit of variation in your dots and the width. Then it doesn't make it makes it look like you're not really trying to be completely uniform. Go all the way around. These do need a second to dry. So make sure you don't touch them. Make sure you don't put your hand on them as you're turning it. Probably need to space these a little closer together. Well, it's not too bad. Kind of gives that same effect that we saw on the kit if you want an excuse to use your dot pins, especially the metallic ones. So the back side of this is going to be the other photo. I can mat on there. And then I could have 2 options. I need to be able to journal. So I can either journal on the back of this and have my photo down here, or I can have my photo on there and then kind of have a big journal box or just a small journal box, something tucked underneath there. So my other option is to make an even larger mat. I have kind of a wide open space. So this is 4x6 on the peekaboo. It's going to be slid in. And so when it's closed and sitting on the page, and that peekaboo, you have kind of the peekaboo plastic border. Do you want a little bit of a bigger mat underneath that? So you have 2 options. You can cut your own, or you can go through the what came in your mat. So your mats pack is going to have 4.5 by 6.5 mats in there. So it's already cut 1/2 inch wider. And one of those might work to layer underneath. And sometimes the benefit of these is that it can give you a little bit extra texture or design to pull it together. So I'm flipping through here, kind of looking to see, which ones maybe would have a design or color that I would want to stand out. So here's a few options. So I could go with the yellow. So it's going to pop and pull in that yellow color. And it is probably a good idea that I'm doing this before I go pull out a great length sticker because I wouldn't want to compete with the yellows. I think that one would work. It could work. If I did this one, actually, I could just journal on the oval part, which actually would probably be a cute idea. See how that looks. Or I could come in with, one of the darker prints. I feel like this is kind of too dark. This camera bouncing around drives me crazy. I can't wait to try the new one I got. I spent definitely more of a chunk of change on it, hoping that it focuses and that does the light better. This is similar to the print. I feel like it doesn't really add, I mean, it would be fine, but I don't love it as much. Not the same. I think we're going to go back here. This is going to be my winner with the map. So then I think my dots are dry. I'm a little bit paranoid about screwing those up. So I can map this photo on the back. If you wanted to be extra, you could do dots on that side too, but it's the back side. I'm not really worried about it. I have that. And then I can think about the embellishment. So when I'm done off camera, I'll go look at my skinny strips and see if I have one to fit in there. And then my last step would be, do I have any stickers? So Endless Meadows was not an Easter specific collection. So I did go through my old set. You guys probably have a lot of these old stickers. The ones I thought kind of would fit in the color scheme. I knew I wouldn't have a lot of space, so I didn't think these would actually fit, but and then these were primary from the primary power palette, which brighten up the layout, I think, a little bit. Or I had these, which came in one of the editions, maybe pastel, spring or summer. I don't feel like they pop very well and they're kind of big. I feel like these are specific. It'd be nice to use these up. So I could use, I don't even know what this was. I don't know if that's like supposed to be like the middle of an Easter lily. I'll probably just throw it away because it'll annoy me every time I look at the book. I'm not quite confident what it is. It looks like someone blowing air and then there's something in the middle. But I could use that maybe, I could do a little Easter red. Now I can't overlap that because it's going to be the peekaboo pocket. So that's the challenge with where I could put the stickers. Might have to shift this down there. I could put it here, the peekaboo pocket next to it. Or I could do the flowers. I'm just looking for a little bit of color overlap. I feel like it would ground it a little bit more down here. Up here, I feel like the basket would kind of be floating. I also have the white bird, which could be up in the corner maybe. These are all kind of big, kind of hard to choose. And then of course the little chick would just be standing there. Could stand here next to them. Decisions. Probably use up the Easter egg. I could kind of get closer to using up this. I can also put a sticker in here. I don't really have that much to journal. But I think the basket actually would be okay underlapped underneath the peekaboo. You're going to see partial. When you open it up, you're going to see the rest. Maybe I'll do that. Okay, so I'm going to start adhering these. Sometimes I wait for my final adhering just to see the spacing. I am using repo tape, so I guess I should give my little space for that. I do want to get a sticker in there. So that would work. And then if I wanted to have Easter, I could maybe stick it up here. Or I could put something here behind it. So I'll work on that when I do my journaling, decide where to put that final sticker, but it'll be nice to use up a couple of these old ones. I might just go ahead and stick the chick down here. So for this side, it will not be in the same book, but what are my options for layering? I said I would weld these together. So it could be photo tape, it could be actually a strip of paper, or it could be tape chips. Whatever your favorite way. It could be washi tape that you have that you don't like. Let's see what I got in my box over here. I don't even know if I have my photo tape within reach, but I have plenty of tape chips. If I can get it off with the backing. They are old from old CM. So if you're paper welding, you want to make sure you got your ends lined up. If you're using tape chips, I could come back later when I'm done too. I could flip it over and put a paper strip down the back. This side, I can just adhere this down the edge and out of repo tape. And then to weld these two together, they're going to meet in the middle. Like I said, I have about 2 inches of overlap. I don't really need that much, so I'm going to cut off about 1.125 inches. That just gives me a little extra paper. I don't need it for here, so I can stick it back in the folder of extras. And I'll have a little bit of that stripe I can use on another layout. So I want to weld this one on top of that one. So if you want, you can flip them over. You have to use a 13 by 13 mat or something that gives you the full 12 inches. I'm going to line them up. Stand up if you need to get the top of your mat. And then you're going to paper weld down this seam. And again, photo tape would probably be best here, or we can do a strip of cardstock paper. So I'll show you that too. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with all the ways of paper welding. But for those of you who are not, you can paper weld with anything, but scrap white paper is usually the easiest. So if you have like the paper covers, especially the old ones, like from before they switched to kind of the thinner paper, the thicker cardstock style will give you a little bit more structure. And the way I would do this is I would just put tape. You either put the tape down the middle, or you could put the tape on here, and then you're going to run this down. the center. Gives it a little bit more support. I'll go ahead and do this other one too, because this layout is not going to go in an album till I figure out the picture. So I'll shore it up a little bit, give it some cardstock. I flip it back over, and that gives me the paper welded base paper. And then of course, it's not, I could also go back this way. This was the original orientation of the layout. And then you could use mats, create your own, whatever you want to do over there. So that is how I would hack layout number 10. So it doesn't look like there's too many questions in the chat. It's pretty basic. I will get the handout created and up on my blog at some point. Maybe it will be today. If you do decide to hack the layout, I would love to see you share it in the Scrapbooking Ideas and Inspiration group and just post it on there and just, simple page get number 10 hacked. It'll be fun to see what you do with it. So thank you all for joining me. Next week on Wednesday, I'm doing the Merry Mail card kit. If you ordered that card kit and you want to make it together, I'm going to do that on Wednesday. If you don't have that card kit yet and you haven't earned the sketchbook yet, oh, I almost failed to mention this. This is the promo going on right now. So if you've been under a rock, there's a project recipe sketchbook and the embellishments you can get free with a $100 order from Creative Memories. If you order on their website with any $100. On my website, it gets confusing to know what's current or not, so I'm just offering it. If you buy the Christmas Charm Buy It All bundle, which is $100, you'll get this free also too. So I know you're all going to want that because it has all the project recipe in there that you've seen us make over time. So it'll be nice. So thank you all for joining me. I will see you next week. Goodbye for now.